So for Aaron, the personal question I had for you, because I also know the other job opportunity that you had with Honda, I believe it was, right? Okay, yeah. So for you, my question was knowing that you had opportunities to work for both of your dream jobs, because I know you'd also tell me you always wanted to work for Intel as well. So I'm glad that you ended up in that role. Like, what was the leading factor to your final decision? And then how does your current role allow you to integrate with your passion for racing and even esports? Because I know you like to play Smash Online too. So we still got to have that rematch.
Yeah. So going back 2 years ago when I had the opportunity, so I worked for Honda.
Okay.
I was working there. So I got to be integrated the culture. 日本語をちょっとお話します。You have to learn Japanese to work there. But at the end of the day, Honda does two things. They make motors and they make chassis. That's what the automotive world does. And I got my degree in electrical engineering. And one of the big interests of mine was like, I want to make the computers before the cars. And that's not what Honda does. Honda outsources that, and every OEM does that except for Tesla. They outsource that skill set. So I was like, okay, I want to do that. So that's where the Intel passion, and they paid me twice as much. So
that's always a plus.
Yeah, that was probably the root of it. And then the second piece of that question, I get to tie in my esports world every day. So right now, one of the things I've been able to do as a passion project is that I've been an esports coach. We just had a tournament last weekend where I was a coach for our team. We got destroyed, but it was all for charity anyway. And we got to chat with we call them distributors. Like, I don't know if you've heard of companies like CDW or something. But so Intel is really different. There isn't not an Intel store. You're not going to find it on the streets. We make parts for other computer manufacturers to make their parts. So we're everywhere. We're like, if we like to make a hamburger, like a fast food analogy, imagine if we make the hamburger meat for every fast food chain. That's what Intel does. Okay. So because of that, we have all these connections and all these things, and that's why the tournament went well, because we're like, hey, all the fast food chains, let's all come together. McDonald's versus Burger King versus Jack in the Box versus Del Taco. Like, let's all do a thing. So that's fun. So I get a lot of fun there. I also get a lot of opportunities to give back. We currently have a high school esports league that we're running. Actually, it's out in Atlanta. So I get a lot of just passion project stuff I get to do. And that's really fun. And I get to share that with the world. And funny enough, not everyone, as you might expect, is a pretty geeky in the esports world at Intel, even though they're a big tech company. Mm-hmm. I would say, my personal opinion, they currently have a marketing problem of like going towards gamers, because the people who they put on stage for it's like this 60-year-old dude, like, we're gamers. I'm like, dude,
See, maybe you can fill that void for them so they can get better credit.
So that's a proposition I already gave of like, can I be the face of gaming for this company? And I get to do stuff like that just as a passion project outside of my traditional workflow. Yeah. So it gives me a lot of value, and I really enjoy the opportunities and the growth. And I get to meet, because of this like interest and like putting yourself out there, which is true for, I think, any role. If you want to succeed, you got to let the world know, put your name out there, talk to people, network. But I get to talk to the executives and give demonstrations to like investors. I'm like, oh, this person just put a couple billion in our company. Let me show you how our stuff works. I'm like, that's a pretty big deal. Like, just all these like things you get to do, just be like, it amazes me. It amazes me. And like I said, I'm just lucky. So that's how I tie my automotive stuff with the esports. And as a final point, Intel, they bought out a automotive autonomous driving company 3 years ago called Mobileye. And that's probably what sparked the interest in me to work for them, because they have this autonomous vehicle group. There's a connection there. So I could talk real nerdy with them about how all that stuff works and like what should happen when things happen in a car, because I have that deep intimate knowledge. And I just find myself in a beautiful, wonderful place because I get to be the best of all the things I like.
Yeah, I'm actually glad like that everything worked out for you so well. Like, that's actually really good alignment, to be honest.
Yeah, so, I feel very lucky, very lucky.
Yeah, so I'm hoping like if that is your next pivot to try to get into like the autonomous team, is like that's where you're gonna try to go next within Intel?
For me, I probably see myself more not as an engineer on the autonomous team, basically, I've come to realize that I love public speaking. I love being in front of cameras, and not all engineers do. So being able to have that knowledge and talk to people about what's really happening technical is probably more my expertise than just sitting behind the screen all day and just not talking to anybody, just doing it. So I find myself going to more public facing events rather than just straight engineering grind.
See, it sounds like you're turning to me back in undergrad. I knew I would influence you. I knew it.
Yeah.
No, but I'm happy for you. I'm glad that it's all working out really well. And yeah, one of these days we are gonna get that rematch going for Smash too. Like we'll chat about that. I'm much better than back then.
For sure. What's funny is, so the only other person who runs our entire esports organization at Intel, he is an old school professional Smash Brothers player too. So I actually met this guy in like 2004 at a tournament in Las Vegas in the Red Rock. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy looks familiar. Have I met you? And he was like, do you play Smash? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yo, that's so nuts.
See, that's why at one point I wanted to work for Nintendo too. I mean, I'm still open to it. So Nintendo, if you're listening, hit me up. But like, yeah, I wanted to be more invested in the Smash community. So, and I know that you were also one of the few individuals that like got me truly integrated, like with some of our other friends or other mutual friends too. So, yeah.
But for me, I've just chased my passions and they led me here, and I feel really lucky for it.
No, I like that. Okay. One thing I wanted to say too, because you mentioned the importance of like marketing and networking. And so Tyler, I'm gonna pivot to you on this one. Okay. So, because I know since you're an influencer, well, let me go ahead and read it since I wrote it down. So with you currently being a content curator, online influencer, as well as a model, how does your current lifestyle compare to what you envisioned when you were still a student studying mechanical engineering?
Oh my gosh. This is literally like everything I've ever wanted that I ever could have dreamed of. Ever since I was little, I was like, I want to be a model. I didn't know about like influencing and stuff when I was younger, but even when I was in college because my parents were like, you need to get a college degree. But I was literally like every weekend going to LA to try to get discovered, to get signed with an agency. And I said, if I get signed with an agency, I am dropping out of college, which is why I switched from engineering. Because why am I taking Calc 2 and doing all these things and grinding so hard in this space when I know for a fact I do not want to go into engineering? So I switched to psychology, and I was like, let me do something that comes natural to me. It was a fun major for me, but I didn't get discovered or signed with an agency until I graduated college. So I did get signed with an agency. And my agency is they do ethical. So I'm technically an ethical model. So my agency is Role Models Management, and we model for brands that are conscious about the impact they have on people and the environment. And that's everything I share online, right? So Thirst and Tangles, I talk about living sustainably and living an earth and money conscious lifestyle. So it connected back to my brand. And so now I work with companies on the influencer side and, create content for them. But then on the modeling side, I model for companies that I would feel comfortable promoting on my platforms as well. So it kind of comes together. But yeah, engineering, I don't know why I even went into engineering. It sounded so interesting. I wanted to make like artificial hearts at some point, but I was like, I need to actually... Yeah, that was like what I originally wanted to do. And we didn't have a biomedical engineering program. So I went into mechanical engineering. But yeah, I've always just wanted to model or, create content of some sort. So it kind of all came together. I'm very happy with where I am now.
I will say, like, knowing that engineering was like the secondary, that is a very strong secondary to have. Like, oh yeah, I'm creating artificial arts. I'm in biomedical engineering. That would have been nice.
Well, then it's weird too, because I feel like there's also like fear in chasing our dreams, right? Like when you go to these modeling agencies, you go and you get rejected time and time again. And it's like, okay, do I just give up and do engineering? And I was like, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to grind until I've exhausted all of my resources and everyone tells me this is not going to happen. Because even when I got into blogging, people were like, well, what are you really going to do? I was like, yes, I'm going to graduate with a degree, but I want to be a blogger. Bloggers make six figures, and they are making a great life for themselves. And the growth
is unlimited also too.
Exactly. And, a lot of bloggers, gone on to get Netflix series and, have their own makeup lines and all these amazing things. So for me, like switching to psychology, getting out of engineering, realizing engineering was plan B, I was like, wait, why am I even doing this? So I switched to psychology and then graduated. And then my plan after I graduated with my psychology degree, I was like, okay, I'm going to, again, go to LA, apply to agencies, do, I don't even know what they call them, go-sees or whatever. That's when you go in person and like they meet you. Okay. I was going to do that. And I was like, everyone who graduates, they get a job, months later, like it takes a long time to get a job after graduation. So that's going to be my time to make modeling happen. Cause I'm very much a safe person. Like I'm going to have that safety net no matter what. Well, literally after I graduated, the day after my graduation, I got a call from the insurance company I am now. And they were like, hey, we want to interview you. And they offered me the job the next week. So I didn't get that summer to, go pursue modeling. So I'm like, this is never going to happen for me unless I actively pursue it, because I'm hoping it'll happen, or I'm hoping that there's a gap in my employment so I can go chase this. So once I realized, I started at the company as soon as I graduated college, I was like, okay, when is this dream ever going to happen for me? And then that's when I was like, okay, let me just.
Well, it does seem like, since everything is so like, since you're so integrated with everything now and it's going so smoothly, I think as you move further and further to becoming that full-time entrepreneur, that's when that gap is going to happen. Like that's when you're really going to, benefit from that downtime. So I think it definitely worked out better for you.
And I didn't ever want downtime. Like I am someone who's like always grind, like always taking the AP classes, like always like doing all the things in college, like being presidents of clubs, like doing the most. So for me, like I like the grind, but yeah, it worked out because I think the timing worked out because even though I worked at my company, as soon as I got out of college, that led me to discovering my modeling agency that is in alignment with my values. Because I think if I would have got signed to agencies sooner, like one agency wanted to sign me, they were not ethical at all. Their models are all over Forever 21 site, and I'm against fast fashion online. I drag Forever 21, I drag H&M. So if I signed with that agency, I would have been the face of the people I'm dragging. So I think it ended up working out how it should have. So anyways.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to hear that, actually, because like I think having that kind of nuance to know exactly what you want in that field, like within fashion, it's like I feel like that itself is special, because not only were you able to get into the industry, but you're able to align yourself with that specific tailored route. No pun intended, Tyler, but it's like that really works well with what you wanted. So I think that's actually pretty good, pretty promising too, because like I'm still an avid supporter, as you know. So anytime when I come across your blog posts, I support, I share, I like and subscribe, hit the little bell notification at the bottom. So yeah, keep at it though. Like I support it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really important there too, which I highly recommend, which is you gotta chase the dream. If you want it, there's no free lunch. You have to go out there and make the food yourself. You have to do it. You really do.
I like that analogy. I'd never heard that before, but I do like that. There's no free lunch, because even at some point you even have to be the one who makes the food.
Yeah. Like
we can streamline it. I can make it sound better, but I'm gonna quote you on that one day. And I know how much you love quotes too.
Oh yeah. I'm a big believer in that, Tyler, too. It's like you got to do it. You have to put yourself out there and take that risk. As they say, if you build it, they will come. 100%. You have to. That's the only way.
And what's the worst that can happen? They say no, but I found that if you exhaust all of your resources, right before you give up, that's when the opportunity comes. So just don't give up on your dream.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I mean, you probably, I don't know about y'all, but I've listened to probably every motivational famous person ever at some point, and all of them had almost the exact same story. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school basketball team. Oprah didn't make it in media for a long time.
Yep.
All these people failed a ton, but they kept going, and now we know them because of their work.
And now we know their story.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that 100%. Okay. Well, so for Rothman, the question for you, so knowing that you have a background in poli-sci and political science, the one thing, because you did touch on, you may not want to do like an engineering firm in the future. But is there any opportunities where you want to kind of combine your interest in politics with engineering, or like what other long-term goals do you see that align yourself with your interests as well? Ooh,
Tying
tough one. I like it.
engineering into it.
Yeah. I'm gonna edit that part out. I would say like if you want to tie the two together, like would you? Or is there anything that you like? How do you see your long-term goals or your future? And do you feel like your interest in politics can be tied into it? Because one thing, yeah, I'll add on to it too. One thing me and Aaron talked about as well is there's not many political figures that have some sort of tech background. And we feel like as problem solvers, as engineers, that could be a very useful skill set. So that's
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So that is actually a big problem that I have with the majority of politicians that are going out there today is they either just have law degrees or in my opinion, they're completely unqualified for the role. And they have these opinions on these, scientific issues that may or may not be informed, right? And that's actually it's funny that you bring that up because I would love to run for some sort of office one day. I got to clean up the IG, got to clean up the Facebook first or delete it all the way through. But I would love to, bring my expertise, my background to it. One of the things, for better or worse, is politics. There's a lot of emotion involved, right? And so one of the things that us engineers have is, our entire education is based on logic and reason, right? And so, you have to be nuanced with it. You can't completely cut emotion out of it. Not every issue is black and white. I'd love for it to be, but it's not. But I think some issues, some solutions that may be presented, they have a more emotional. They come from an emotional place and not from a logical place. And maybe the logical solution, it doesn't sound nice, but it may be the best that we have right now, right?
Exactly.
And so for me, I would love to, run for, an assemblyman position. But I would have to, that would be something where I would have to have my own firm. I would have to grind for that. Definitely have my own firm, be an entrepreneur to have time to do that. Because, I have to fill up the other 6 months of my life while I'm, flying from here to Carson City. Right. So it's definitely something I would like to do. It's not off the table. I think there's a lot of growth, a lot of personal growth that I still have to do. But yeah, I think that would be a great thing that I would love to do.
Okay. Absolutely. Because yeah, that's the one thing I noticed too with like let's take for example like climate change and global warming, things of that aspect. I feel like a lot of those perspectives they're not coming from like a scientific background. And that's where something that, STEM grads and STEM professionals can now contribute on. Like even Elon himself, even though he's not in politics, he has political influence now. And he's very knowledgeable in the tech space. So it's like seeing more and more tech-based individuals out there going into politics and kind of shaping society, especially the American society. I think that is a huge opportunity for us to get better and to continue to improve.
Right. So, and the thing is, you have to have a person that kind of like Aaron, who loves to be in front of the camera. Because if you have Milhouse in front of the podium with his giant glasses, his Coke bottle glasses or whatever, the message may not come across, right? Yeah. So you almost have to, like, this is kind of like the ugly side of it, right? Is you have to be charismatic. You have to be able to sell things, sell yourself, sell your ideas. And, that's something where when you get to that bridge, you'll cross it. But it's definitely something where you can't just throw the guy who sits in front of the screen all day out there.
Agreed. It does take a unique combination of both. And I feel like that's something that me and Aaron have developed throughout our time under undergrad. But you also have it. So if you are comparing yourself to Milhouse, my assumption, I would still say you're very good Milhouse and he's a pretty lovable character. But
Yes,
I think the leadership that we did throughout the student org, I think that does kind of contribute towards us getting closer to that route. Because I think, in my personal opinion, knowing all of you, it's like as engineers, we have much more social skills than a lot of our counterparts. Like I will never forget there's many awkward situations that I've been in where I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot I'm in engineering. I can't talk to random people. Just because like they would look and they would look away. And they would run away.
right.
And then I'm just like, oh, okay, it's not me, it's them, hopefully.
Well, it
But
doesn't workplace too. Like I know many engineers who are we call them, they're not customer friendly.
yeah,
That's the term.
I can agree with that 100%.
That's a big thing I think that makes people like us, stand out a little bit more. Is one thing that you guys have been saying today is you got to put yourself out there, and if you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to get noticed.
Agreed. 100% agree. With that, I want to give a quick shout out to the other guest that couldn't make it, just because she was the one who actually inspired this episode. Then I'm going to ask one more closing question. Is everyone good on time for the time being?
Yep.
Okay. So I do want to give a shout out to Sadie Stutzman. She is the founder of Full Stop Bakery out in Boulder, Colorado. They just celebrated their 1 year anniversary, so congrats to them. Yeah, me and Sadie had this conversation. Also a UNLV engineering grad. And also wanted to, well, she inspired this episode of Fighting Against the Grind because now she is a full-time entrepreneur herself. She still works engineering during the day, but she has her own bakery, so she couldn't make it today. So want to give a shout out to them, and I'll put the little just put the info in the description and go from there. But in closing, so this is going to be a good question for all of you, is in terms of redefining success, what does success look like to you?
Success for me is living life on my own terms. I'm not having to, set an alarm clock, be on anyone else's time, it is having more flexibility. I guess that's my dream. Like, you don't have to have a ton of money to be successful in my mind. You just have to be able to live life how you want.
I like that. So for you, to summarize into one word, it would be freedom. Like overall, in control, behind the wheel, whatever Tyler wants, she's making those decisions.
Yeah, I'd say freedom or even autonomy.
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Aaron Rothman?
I think that what Tyler says is completely what I agree with. For me, success is not necessarily about money. $1 billion, $1 trillion cannot buy you a second more of time, right? And so as I've gotten older, to me, that's what's become more important, more than my salary is, what time do I have? What freedom do I have? And so for me, success would be, having that flexibility, working from home, saving for my retirement, and hoping not to die in the climate wars.
I like that.
Yeah, I would say in a similar fashion, I don't think about, for me, I wouldn't say autonomy is a top 5 priority of my success or what I define as success. But definitely, to your point, Rothman, I think I ask myself the question all the time, like, am I providing value with my time? Is my time being utilized the best it can be to do the things that I really internally want to do? And if the answer is yes, then I'm successful. And if not, then it's okay. Just pivot, you adjust the sails, and you continue on.
I like that. I also like that. Yeah, go ahead, Rothman.
Can I just say, Aaron, sometimes success is a pizza, a cold soda, and watching some Netflix.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I like that. No, I highly support that. Yeah, because I think, and I preach this a lot at my job, since I'm in like project management and everything, is like work-life balance is key. And I feel like the success, in my opinion, is finding that balance between both. Like whatever work looks like, whether it's employer-employee relationship, whether it's entrepreneurial, I think whatever that work looks like, as long as you're able to have that life completely balanced out to a way that it brings happiness to you. So I would say that I agree with all of you, not to be that neutral person. But okay, so before we drop, were there any other questions or comments or anything that y'all wanted to kind of state or mention?
The engineering grind is real, man.
It's
Real,
rough.
but worth it.
It's real worth it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's rough and it teaches you a lot.
Okay.
It's the first real grind I had for sure.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that for myself too. Okay. Tyler, anything for you as well?
If we're talking about the engineering grind, I'm going to say the opposite. If you do not want to be an engineer, save yourself the trouble.
Yeah, and I think that's fair too. I mean, to your point, as you said, you looked at it. It's like, is this really what I want to do with my time? No, I'm going to do something that I feel is more valuable with my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very valuable too. One of the things recently, I went back to UNLV and I was able to give a speech to the group, the Society of Asian Science Engineers, and they were asking for some advice. And I actually gave the question back to them, and I said, like, why are you here? Like, no, really, why are you listening to me? Why are you in this discipline? If you can't answer that, you probably should do something else.
Yeah,
Like,
probably should pivot. Yeah.
for real.
That's such a good question. Because that also too, like I have some friends whose parents are like, you have to be an engineer and you have to do this. But it's like at the end of the day, you are living your own life. I like how Aaron's saying, do whatever you find is valuable with your time. Don't
Finding that
others.
passion. Yeah. No, I agree. I like that. Okay. So what I'll do right now is I'll go ahead to like the little outro. We can still chat like afterwards and everything too. I hope y'all enjoyed like this conversation though. Like I hope that there's gonna be a lot of takeaways both from us and from the viewers as well. So, thank you for allocating the time with me today for sure. So
Absolutely.
let me read that one real quick. Maybe I'll edit that out. We'll see. So to our viewers and our listeners, what are your thoughts on going against the grind? Make sure to leave your comments below, subscribe to our channel for more content, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, much love and peace.
Just got off the clock, just got on my chill. Called on my homie Brent to see what be the deal. What you trying to do? I'm just trying to heal. Hella floated, never bloated's what I'm trying to feel. Hop in the whip and just got off the clock, just got on my chill. Called on my homie Brent to see what be the deal. What you trying to do? I'm just trying to heal. Hella floated, never bloated's what I'm trying to feel. Hop in the whip and